Will-043 is a fairly interesting case in the Halo universe, at least to me. During the Battle of Reach, he was one of the 22 Spartans sent to the surface of the planet to defend the orbital defense generators, and would become one of several Spartans to survive the fall of Reach. He participated in Operation First Strike, a mission to take down a Covenant invasion fleet of over 500 ships, and was one of 4 Spartans to make it back to Earth before the planet was invaded on October 20th. While John 117 was trotting around another Halo ring, Will served on Blue Team under the new leadership of Fred 104, and spent around 2 weeks defending Earth from Covenant forces with his fellow Spartans. When a distress call from Onyx came through, claiming the need for Spartan A to secure powerful Forerunner artifacts, Will and the rest of Blue Team were deployed. It was Onyx where Will would meet his end, being blasted by a Hunter's assault cannon from point blank after literally ripping the Hunter's Bond brother apart. A true Spartan badass. For years, that was it for Will. But then Halo Anniversary 2 came about, along with Spartan Strike to a lesser extent, diving back into the Battle of New Mombasa and all the lore surrounding it, along with some new lore. And one of the first pieces of lore that we got to dive into were a pair of prologue terminals. One gave us some important backstory on how Regret found Earth, but the one we're focusing on is about Blue Team. We have Fred 104 telling John that he and Linda 058 will take care of an Oni debrief while John does what you see him do at the start of Halo 2. Of course, there's an immediate problem with this, one obvious to anyone who's read the books: the absence of Will-043. Will, as stated, returned to Earth with Fred, Linda, and John, so where the hell is he at this time? It's not entirely clear, but a few Easter eggs in Halo Spartan Strike give us potential clues. In that game, there are a handful of moments when a Spartan 2 appears to do things, but they don't line up with the established events of Halo 2, notably the Chief's actions during that game. So, many in the lore community came to the same conclusion. This Spartan must be Will-043, and for the unnecessary plot hole that 343 opened up with the unyielding terminal, it works well enough. With all the lore we have established at this point, one could assume the following narrative. Upon returning to Earth sometime prior to October 20th, 2552, Spartans John 117, Fred 104, Linda 058, and Will 043 were given upgraded armor. As Mark V had only recently been released, only barely a year prior, with the final generational upgrade being handed off to Spartan 2s on August 30th, Mark VI wasn't widely ready. So, John, being the leader of the Spartan 2s, and by this time something of a public figure, or implied to have been so, is given a fresh suit of Mark VI and ordered to attend a medal ceremony, likely for PR reasons. Fred and Linda, in the meantime, are given Mark VI prototypes featuring upgrades that would later be used during Gen 2's development. They would be pulled aside for debriefing, Fred even held up by Oni well into the invasion of Earth. Will, on the other hand, would be sent directly to Earth. Perhaps he was sent there because there weren't enough Mark VI upgrades sent up, or perhaps he was sent because of the impending invasion. Alternatively, perhaps he was still being outfitted with his Mark VI, which likely would have been base Mark VI, when Fred and Linda went to the debrief. Whatever the case, if this theory is correct, Will received a basic set of Mark VI like John, and eventually deployed to New Mombasa. The main question was whether he was sent ahead of the invasion, or because of the invasion, but for now it doesn't matter. What matters is that we seem to have solved the curious case of Will-043, but the story doesn't necessarily have to end there. One could extrapolate further and surmise that Will is the Spartan 2 in Mark VI armor on the cover of Ghosts of Onyx. Traditionally, that Spartan was Fred 104, the Spartan in Mark V being Kelly 087, and the spy-clad Spartan being Kurt Ambrose, aka Kurt 051. However, Fred's Canon armor at the time was Centurion, and if one wanted to keep the cover as canon as possible, Will-043 would be a suitable fit. And yet, there is still more to this theory. As you may recall from my recent PAX video, I talked about how Believe might be canon. Aspects like the Museum of Humanity have been canon since 2010, with the museum being mentioned in Halo Reach's bonus material, but what about the diorama or the soldier interviews? Well, Halopedia admin CIA391 managed to contact the 343 employee behind the 2014 catalog posts and was given confirmation that the Believe ad campaign is canon. Not much context beyond that, mind you, but still it's a start. And more recently, Jeff Easterling of 343 reaffirmed that Believe is currently considered canon. Again, no real context, but it's a place to start. So, if belief is canon, this opens up a ton of plot inconsistencies that need to be accounted for, notably the presence of Master Chief as shown in the diorama. I've been talking with CIA about this since he told me about this conversation with Catalog, and we've come to what I would consider a pretty reasonable explanation. The battle as shown in the diorama canonically happened. However, it wasn't Master Chief that was present, but Will-043. Blue Team was active for weeks after John left aboard in Amberclad, and plenty of that time is unaccounted for. At some point, Blue Team, or perhaps just Will, there's nothing to say that they were together for the entire 2 weeks, were sent back to Kenya, and Will was captured at some point. The quote-unquote Second Battle of New Mombasa plays out as seen in the believed diorama, culminating with Will-043 detonating his grenade, which became a major victory for the UNSC prior to John's return on November 17th. In the years that followed, Oni would engage in a mass cover-up, as Oni does, making the public and maybe the military at large believe that the Spartan at the Second Battle of New Mombasa was indeed the Master Chief. And by the 27th century, they would have manufactured an entire propaganda campaign, aka Believe. So now one has to ask, why would they do this? Well, I think Johnson put it best in Halo 2.
Folks need heroes, Chief, to give them hope.
Heroes are very important in human cultures. They always have been, and they likely always will be. Solidifying the heroic legacy of the Master Chief would be important following the Covenant War for a number of potential reasons. And extrapolating further, I could honestly see the start of Will-043 playing the part of Master Chief having started during the war itself, during the Second Battle of New Mombasa. Maybe at some point after Chief left, spirits were down and Oni had Will take on John's identity for a while to boost morale. As the opening of Halo 2 implies, and as we've seen confirmed in other media, Master Chief was kind of a big deal. You can even see that in a simple scene from Halo 3.
Hey, check it out. No way. A Spartan?
For real? You better not be.
No, man, he's here.
Or even just how Marines react to your presence in the games at large. So, manufacturing the presence of the Chief on the battlefield would be a huge boost to morale, and given that Earth was the last major stronghold, even if there were other colonies out there, it would be a necessity in a lot of ways. However you choose to look at it, I don't think this is too much of a stretch, and moreover, it makes one of the best ad campaigns in Halo's history into meaningful canon. Never mind that it gives Will some much-deserved justice. Sort of. Anyway, that's the curious case of Will-043. Will was a presence that was clung to by fans early on, likely aided by how badass his exit from the story was. In recent years, he's become something of a forgotten Spartan, at least publicly. Hopefully these theories about his actions during the 2 weeks between October 20th and November 3rd, 2552, turn out to be correct. Will deserves some justice, and being the secret hope of humanity is certainly one way to accomplish that. But what do you think? Could the mysterious Spartan in Spartan Strike truly have been Will? Could he have assumed the identity of Master Chief under Oni directive? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching as always, and until next time, this has been Halo Canon. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing, and if you really love me, hit that notification bell and leave a thumbs up. These both really help out the channel. I wouldn't be where I am now without your views and support, so once again, thank you. Keep on being awesome, Canonites.